Hey y'all, what's going on? I want to go over something I'm in the process of doing. I do it every once in a while. I figure I'm just going to record this since I've done it before. I got to make a power adapter, and the issue I have is I don't have the right power plug. So easy thing to do. This is an old school. This is old 2-wire. This is the adapter I'm going to use. This is something from way back when. Y'all see the 2-wire. That's, the old DSL modems that were available way back in the day when 6 megabytes was the awesome download speed on DSL. But I actually have to make an adapter here, and you got to be able to find the right voltage. And what I'm doing an adapter for is the Sonos that I have here. This thing is just a bridge, but I use it as a point-to-point. And yeah, I have to get this adapter, and somewhere along the line I've lost one of the adapters, and so I need a DC 5 volts, and it needs to be 2 amps. So like everyone else, we keep these wall warts, and usually end up with a huge box of them. And if you're anything like me, you end up actually reusing them. Sometimes you get devices or whatever that don't have these cords, but then again, they also become extremely important when you need an adapter, like I do with this Sonos. So we'll go ahead and get everything we need. I've already trimmed the end off here, and of course I leave a little pigtail, be able to have the the option to use this if I need to. It's already ready to go. And it's odd, this one is actually a 3-prong, so it did have a ground in there, and all I did was use the multimeter. And what I did, basically just put in a trace mode. You got to have one that has a trace mode, a beep mode, a lot of people call that. Usually you can also do it with the ohms setting on your meter, but the best thing with this, you can see what the resistance is, and zero, of course, zero resistance. That mode is great for using resistors and testing different resistance. This one here is a lot easier. This one's more of it's resistance, but it gives you a beep when you're using it. So we'll take this, and we'll keep that off to the side, and you basically have an adapter here. And most adapters will have this. Actually, they all should have that, really, with the UL listing on it. Anyway, we have a output, and that's 5.1 volts at 2.2 amps. So that's going to work. So it's always better to have the higher the amperage, the better. If it's a 2 amp, and say you have a 12 volt power supply, in this case it's a 5 volt. So if you have a 5 volt power supply and it's a 5 amp and not a 2 amp, that's actually better. It's not going to hurt anything whatsoever. What you don't want to do is have an amperage rating on your device and have a power pack here that has less amperage than this requires. You don't want this thing starving for the power it needs, because that amperage and draw, you'll burn these things up. These things aren't made to last. There's no replaceable fuse in these, and yeah, once it's gone, it's gone. So yeah, we got to go ahead and get his 5 volt. And the best thing I've always found to use for tips, since now we need to find the tip for it, since we found the right voltage but we don't have the right tip, is I always save, no surprise, these adapters, which are also an option, is the universal plugs that you can buy at most stores, which will have selectable voltage, and then also give you an option of tips. And these tips can also be reversed depending on the polarity inside here. And so what we need to do is find one that will fit this, and we're halfway there. So let's see if that's too small. That's way too small. And of course I keep these Yeah, it's a mono jack if you needed a mono jack that was right angled already. Let's see if this is it. Is it a green one? Nope, that's too big. We're not big enough. That's not going to work either. Alright, so I'll get the right adapter here. Is right here. So got it halfway set up for us, and man, these are great. These are basically I think third hands. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in beep mode because I need to know on this which one of these pins is the positive and which is the negative. So we'll go ahead and just do that. And we're going to go to beep mode and test it. We'll just hit the probe. Alright, so let's see which one it is here. Is it this one? Yep, oh, look at that, 50-50 shot. We had a good luck right there. So that's what we have going on, is the bottom pin. And then what we're going to do is use this in the voltage mode in DC volts and find out which one of these adapters is actually the one we're going to use to power up our device. So we need to know which one on this is positive and which one is negative. So let me go ahead and get that set up. Go ahead and just put these away. Keep those for the next one. And now we have this all set up here. We have this in DC voltage mode. We'll go ahead and plug this in. We'll keep these ends separated. I'll go ahead and hit this light again. And we're going to power this up. I, of course, already have one alligator clip connected to the test lead. That's always easy and a nice way to not have to worry about everything shorting out. So let's go ahead and see what we got going on here on this. And this is to find out which way this voltage goes. Okay, so what we have is a 5.23, but if you see in the bottom in the front right there with the light, it's a negative. So if we go ahead and reverse these, you'll see our voltage is now not negative, it's 5.23. So that determines that this black down here, this bottom one, is the negative, and this one here is the positive. And we also know that being the same on this, that this bottom one is the negative and positive, and this one is actually the positive. So this, we're going to go ahead and solder to it, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll just show you what it looks like after I do the soldering of this wire onto this tip here, and of course this wire onto the top one here, and this will give us our power adapter. I'll show you exactly how I do it all after I solder it up. Well, here we are. We're back with the completed tips here. I went ahead and got the heat shrink on one of these terminals already. I like to heat shrink both of these terminals, that way there's no short whatsoever. But yeah, we got it soldered in the way it should be, and we're going to go ahead and test that to make sure before we get anything heat shrunk completely, and we're going to have it put in power wise to test before everything, because if it's wrong, which it shouldn't be, but that's just to verify we have everything we want with no surprises. Better to double check here than to blow up whatever you're plugging it into. So we got our center pin as positive, and we have our negative clip. There we are. So that's 5.23, and we are good on our device here. that's what we need there. So we're gonna go ahead and button this up. I'll do this real quick while I'm recording, why not? Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and put this on here. So both those terminals are separated. There's no chance of them getting all shorted out, causing havoc to the transformer and to our device. Go ahead and just unplug this. Go ahead and fire off this heat shrink. I always like to use this. This is the also the SMD rework gun, and we'll go ahead and put this on here too. There, we got a nice adapter. We'll go ahead and just go ahead and button it all the way up to there, and so that'll be good. Go ahead and just heat shrink that too. And all I really care about is doing it up at the top here, just so it has secure, and it's just better to have this on here as well. Extra protection. We all need the protection. There we go. So that's done. That's done. And we're gonna go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and just turn these lights off. We don't need this anymore either. That was a quick job. I love these soldering stations. I get everything done so quickly. Sometimes I don't get to enjoy it as much as I should. So we'll go ahead and get this plugged in. But what we're going to do to test it is it has a, this Sonos has a light in it right at the top here. So to be able to see it, we're just going to go ahead and fire off the lights here. And we'll go ahead and get it a little dark in here to be able to see this blinking light. And then we got ourselves plugged in. And that blower, hang on a second, that blower's, there we go. Alright, so we got this plugged in, we're ready to power it up. So let's see what happens. We should see a light blinking right there, a little white light. There we go. There we go. So that's a simple and easy thing you can do to save yourself a little bit of money. Reuse these adapters, because God knows everybody has a whole box of these and you don't know where they go to. Because they usually don't have the brand of the device listed on here, just some generic manufacturer. So this is not the same as the original, which is smaller, but this one here will work. It'll do exactly what you need it to do, and that is a nice, easy, and cheap way to make a power adapter when you don't have one, but you have all kind of parts. You can also substitute these tips for the other adapters if you want to. You can cut them off, but go through the same principle as you got to find out what the polarity is this and the polarity of the wiring, because sometimes they do have this labeled, but sometimes that's the negative trace and sometimes that's the positive trace. It all depends on whoever put this thing together, and usually they just decide one way or the other. But always double check to make sure what the polarity is, and double check the polarity on the tip. Very simple. If you got that multimeter, it'll be easier, and a nice successful repair here, or actually a creation. Frankensteined up a nice Sonos box. So I hope you all get some use out of that, and hopefully it gets one of your adapters out of the closet box of mystery adapters, because yeah, you don't have to go buy another one. You can repurpose one you already have, and if you're lucky, sometimes you can actually find an adapter with the same voltage, same amperage, and you know, it's the perfect plug, because that's all it is. It's the different sizes, both diameter and then inside, but yeah, pretty simple. Alright, I'll see you on the next video. Appreciate y'all.